We're back with another episode of Franchise My Business, a podcast for franchisors, hosted by franchisors. I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and I'm recording this on the Monday after the Chiefs just punched their ticket to another Super Bowl, so I'm pretty excited. We're going to leave that off to the side, but as a frame of reference, just talking to a gentleman who originates from New Orleans, New England. And we were talking about football and all these things, but the reality is this guy has so many cool things happening that we're just going to dive right into what his current project is. When you think about somebody who's been in the franchise industry and done a lot of really, really cool things, you always get the opportunity to say, hey, like, what are some of the mistakes you've made? What are some of the wins? So we're going to have an action-packed 25, 30 minutes today talking about emerging franchises, particularly in spaces that have to do with physical activity, with wellness, with keeping good care of yourself. It's my honor and privilege today to welcome Ben Crosbie, CEO of the DRIPBaR, on today's show. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And, I want to talk about the DRIPBaR because that's your current thing that you're working on, but you've done some cool stuff in an area that's near and dear to my heart, which is martial arts. I love martial arts. Yes. And just tell us about what you've done in the martial art franchise space.
Sure. Yeah. Back in 2016, 2017, I was able to secure the global rights to the brand Tapout and created Tapout Fitness. So brought that to market with proof of concept with myself. I partnered with Greg Jackson as well. Brought on quite a few operating partners. After selling 500 locations, 11 countries, opening up quite a few stores, I exited it back in 2019. But it was a great time. I love the martial arts and the MMA and the UFC scene, and really the culture. Yeah. The culture was what really drew me to it early on, and being, friends and acquaintances with a lot of the fighters, a lot of the coaches, the Tapout crew in the early days. It was a lot of fun.
I'll bet that was. I didn't even think about like the interesting folks that you would meet. The fighters and everything. Like, that's really, really cool. Really cool. So was that your first like foray into franchising, or were you doing some stuff before then? Like, how long have you been in the franchise space?
Yeah. Really, Tapout was the reason I got into franchising. Okay. So before that, I owned my own line of health clubs. Before that, I was a personal trainer. I graduated college as an athletic trainer and a sports nutritionist. So I always was around fitness, and owning my own line of health clubs, it gave me the knowledge of how to run and operate a health club. When I was in Las Vegas, working with a few consulting opportunities, few developments. That's when I met the Tapout group. Soon after, I was able to secure the global rights, and really the only way that I could rationalize taking over the global rights of such a massive brand was to figure out a strategy to scale and speed to market. And the only thing I could figure out was franchising. So Tapout, securing the global rights to just the brand under a global licensing agreement, was the reason I figured out franchising. I brought on one partner that had some experience in franchising, and we were successful bringing it to market. So I love working with a lot of emerging concepts.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a lot of fun, taking an emerging concept and then getting it out, like not only locally and nationally, but globally, and then just seeing what happens because you took that shot. It's always super rewarding work. So you exit Tapout, and you're not the founder of the DRIPBaR, correct? Or are you?
No, I'm the founder of the franchise system.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
So, sure. Yeah. So, as I was building Tapout, I kept going to the original DRIPBaR. Okay. in Warwick, Rhode Island. It had slightly a different name at that time. But I just went there because of my nutrition and in fitness. And honestly, I was traveling a lot. So I wanted to be proactive with health, wellness, and not get sick. So I kept going to the DRIPBaR consistently. And when I exited Tapout, I started a franchise development company called Zor 411, where the whole goal of that company was to take a vested approach to growing franchises, meeting early opportunities, investing in them, franchising their business concept, bringing it to market. And DRIPBaR was one of the first ones that I started working with, but it soon took a life of its own. We brought it to market after I partnered with the original founders, and it just kept growing and selling and scaling to the point where it gave us a deflection point where I stepped in and acquired 100% of the business just last year to continue to grow and scale the business.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that too. That's so where is the business today? Like I know you guys have had some ridiculous growth, but I want to hear it straight from your mouth. So original location, Warwick, Rhode Island, had a different name.
Yep.
Rebrand. Where are you guys today in terms of your footprint? And then also where are you headed in the future?
Sure. Yeah. So we just, we opened our first franchise location in January of 21. So about 24 months ago. As of today, we have 44 open, and we're opening 1 to 2 a week for the foreseeable future. Just got an exciting picture that we have a location opening right next to Times Square, Manhattan.
Oh, cool.
Over next month. So
nice.
Just get that picture of how it's all laid out, and it's just beautiful. But being able to get into Manhattan within 24 months is pretty ridiculous.
No, that really is. That is super, super cool. And you guys, it's not Manhattan. Okay. But I will tell you, you guys have a location about 3 miles away from where I'm sitting right now as well. So very, very, very cool. Lee Summit, Missouri, man. Lee Summit.
Yep. Lee Summit. They're doing fantastic. We got again, 44 open. We'll be crossing 50 next month. We'll be at 100 in Q3. We're just growing and adding units, and the units are performing well, and they continue to grow month over month. So it's a really exciting time.
Who are the types of people that are your Zor or your Z's, I guess? Like, are you finding people that are kind of like you and me, I guess, that care about wellness?
Yeah. Are
you just finding people that are looking for a business opportunity and they're investors, or like what are the types of operators that and are they signing up for multiple units as well?
Yeah, we have a pretty broad swath. Our single units are typically people that really believe in the business that are doing it. They've had past experience. We have some nurses and doctors. You don't need to be a nurse or a doctor in order to own this, however. But people that really appreciate the functional medicine approach and parallel treatment of care, people that are franchisees have a passion for the opportunity that cellular health is bringing to the masses. We also have a large group of large percentage of multi-units that have multiple other franchises, Orange Theory, Experience and Massage Envy. So they're early adopters, but they recognize the value of the business model and what we're doing from a financial standpoint. So they are bringing it in as a diversification of their existing portfolios of franchise systems.
Beautiful. Yeah, we see that a lot too. It's like, hey, you might have a couple of this brand, a couple of this brand. When you're somebody who's an investor building a portfolio and diversifying across brands. And I always think it's really cool when they are kind of adjacent. So, you mentioned Massage Envy. Okay, that's somebody who's going and doing something for themselves. We talk self-care was, obviously a huge topic over the past couple of years. And people are starting to be more proactive about their wellness and their health versus reactive, and being like, hey, I'm getting sick and I'm going to the doctor, I'm taking a Z-Pack or whatever. So I love the fact that you guys are kind of in that space of helping people live a better life, their best life. So
that's the goal.
Yeah,
that is the goal. And everything starts with, what do we call cellular health? Mm-hmm. No matter how much you work out, how well you eat, you need strong cells, improved cells in order to get the full experience.
Have you watched that show with Chris Hemsworth called Limitless on Disney yet?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? Like just the amount of things that, and I think, people start getting towards those middle years of life, and particularly if you have like children or something like that, it gives you perspective. And you're like, man, life is short. And, a guy like that was super, super healthy as Thor, but realized, he had other things he could do to hopefully increase his longevity, his life. Right. And,
absolutely.
I kind of see what you guys are doing. There's no silver bullet to living your best life, but, it takes a well-rounded approach of exercise, nutrition and all these things. And this is just one of those additional things that somebody can put into their tool belt to help them live their best life. So let's talk about the things, because I think a lot of times, if somebody's thinking about taking their concept and packaging it up and offering it to other entrepreneurs, franchising, it always seems like this big hill that you have to conquer. You think about somebody who's got that amazing business, or like, man, I want to franchise. A lot of times they'll start with like a legal conversation, or they might reach out to a marketer. They just kind of dig in somewhere and start chipping away at it. Going back to when you were doing your deal with Tapout, what was like the biggest thing that you worried about as somebody who was getting ready to step into the franchisor's shoes?
Well, with Tapout, it was not knowing what franchising actually was. So being as proactive in setting up the company for success and bringing on franchisees. Franchise acquisition was definitely a new thing to me, and how to set that up and how to educate prospects to convert them into a buying situation. Mm-hmm. So recognizing the type of investors, but also recognizing what it means to become a franchisee. It's not just a sales transaction. Yeah. You need to have a lot of the stuff built before you're actually opening up a location to give locations a roadmap to success. Mm-hmm. With marketing, advertising, and all the various tools that makes it very difficult for just a one-off entrepreneur to open up a single business.
Right.
You want to give them the roadmap and the tools and the full toolkit necessary to open up the business and really create that value for somebody to buy a franchise. And at the end of the day, it's a big investment. I try not to spin it as it's a sale, but it's more of an investment in a partnership long term to bring somebody into the system. Yeah, to me, a franchise sale is not an actual transaction. I mean, obviously it's a transaction, but it's not a direct sale. It's like you're buying something. It's an investment into the future for that franchisee and for the franchisor. So it's a long-term partnership that's being created where they're really bringing on a C-level team experience, know-how, in order to give them a better shot at being successful in the business.
Yeah. And I love that too, because I don't know that a lot of franchisees know that, particularly like first timers. When you are investing in your franchise, I mean, sure, you're getting the intellectual property and all those things in the system, the roadmap, but you're also getting expertise. And what I always like to tell people is, in some cases, they're paid collapse time and of mistakes that we, we're building our prototypes or whatever. we're going to go through that process of figuring out what works, doesn't work, distill it down to the very, very best system for you, Mr. Franchisee or Mr. And then you're going to operate what is our best thinking, but you're also going to have basically a board of advisors who cares much about your success as you do. What other business opportunity really do you get that type of alignment? I have a hard time finding, which is why I love franchising.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. It's just that whole, it's almost like the concept, it's just such a cool thing when everybody's doing things and in alignment, in alignment. So, what's next for you guys? Like, DRIPBaR, or all of your locations that you're opening, are they here in the States? Is this something that, like, I have no visibility to what the IV nutrition space looks like out of the United States? Is it booming elsewhere? Or is it just for Americans? I have no idea.
Yeah. No, there's a good amount of traction in Canada and Europe and whatnot. To go off a little bit, I just opened my own location inside a health club. So, we are looking at those non-traditional opportunities. So we're going to be scaling inside health clubs, airports, hotels and such. But as you said, we're also going to be going into Canada and Europe and a few other countries in the very near future. There's a pretty sizable opportunity out there. And right now, because of the scale and the growth and the partnerships we have, there's a lot of interest from very strong international master franchises. Nice. So what better time?
Yeah. No, and that's a great fit. It's like so congruent. It's like, hey, if you could be ready, raise their hand and say, hey, I care about myself. Because if you step foot into a gym, you care about yourself one way or another. You could be a lifer or a gym rat, or you could be somebody who's just getting back to it. And, if you never had one of these, seeing, hey, like I can go over here and learn about it. And then also, I think that's a bullseye. So it'll be fun to watch what you guys do, kind of opening up in health locations as well. Probably in terms of not having to go get a lease, because I'm assuming your amount of real estate that's needed to operate one of these is pretty minimal, right?
Yeah. So traditionally, we're looking for 1,000 to 1,500 square feet in markets where you see Starbucks, Massage Envy, Orange Theory. Just that whole inline opportunity. Inside health clubs can definitely be smaller. In what we just did, we just took over a childcare space. It was about 1,000 square feet. Very easy to, put up a couple extra walls, put in all new flooring, new ceilings. We already had the existing infrastructure there. And then it's pretty amazing to see, because you have those clients walking in every day, finally noticing us, and then walking in, and you get a sizable amount of walk-in opportunities just by
totally top of mind. Curiosity. I mean, people the thing, if they've never done it before, maybe they saw it, when they were in Vegas 5 years ago as the hangover helper, and they have this misconceived notion that that's like, it's only this reactive thing. We've got mutual friends who I think go
right. Only for the Kardashians or only for when you're hungover.
Right. It's like, no, like this stuff's available for anybody who, you've got a variety of different things that you can offer. And actually, I want to talk about that, because to this may not know DRIPBaR fully does. And we don't want to, there may be somebody here who really cares about wellness, a potential franchise owner for you. What are the different things that you guys can do with these IV drips? Like, what are the different conditions or optimizing the human condition that, people can do with these things?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So our core drips are separated into really two different functions. One being for lifestyle drips for people that are healthy, that have ones like the Jet Setter for those who travel a lot. power packs for energy, mental clarity, and focus. We do shields to boost your immune system, flu fighters for when you're sick to speed the recovery side of things, all stars for athletic performance. But then we also have health support drips. So we do like high dose vitamin C for clients with cancer, or clients that are in remission or going through chemotherapy. So a proactive or a parallel treatment of care for clients with pre-existing conditions like cancer, heart disease, dementia, early onset, and such.
That's cool, man.
So it's a pretty broad audience.
Yeah. Like the people who want to be proactive in their journey, whether it's the athlete or just for then to people who really need it, as a course of care, somebody who's battling something pretty serious. So that's got to be rewarding work. It's got to be rewarding work. You're serving two really two cool people, archetypes of people. So what has been like the, a lot of people that are listening to this show are people out franchising, picking up their intellectual property, their baby, the thing that they've worked on for whatever, and they're like, hey, I'm gonna go do this. What do you think would be your number one piece of advice to that person? They're like, you know what? I'm going to franchise. And I always say my cookie shop, because that's an easy thing for me to think about. Hey, I've got this amazing cookie shop, got the world's best cookies. I'm going to go franchise it. What's the one thing maybe that you wish you knew at the beginning that you could pass down to that entrepreneur to save them some heartache, money, time, whatever?
Yeah. So truly knowing your business is important, right? But everybody that's thinking about franchising truly feels that they own their business, know their business. But I would take it a step further and rationalize it. So every business I've ever built, I've built in Excel, not in Word, right?
Yeah.
You got to make sure that the business foundationally can and does make money, and that you can then document how you could create those numbers and then be able to extrapolate that information and that education to a franchisee. So making sure that you're knowledgeable on how your business makes money, not just, hey, I've owned this cookie shop and it's paid myself well for the past 10 years. But how do you take that concept, that strong proof of concept and concept where other people make money, and you could show them pathway to do that? And then just making sure that you have a true value add differentiator, like what makes you different. One joke that I have with other fran dev companies is every fitness brand that comes out and says, hey, I want to start franchising. Well, what exactly do you do different in such a fitness franchise market? Are you going to teach somebody how to run on a treadmill differently? Right? It's all the same.
Right.
It's all been done before.
Right.
What's going to make you different from them?
Yeah. What do you think's different about, so what's your guys' secret sauce? I always say, like, what's your golden goose? That's what I always ask. If somebody's thinking about franchising, I say the same thing. Like, what's special about you, the business, the brand? Like, what is your point of difference? What do you guys think is your big chatter with the drip now?
Yeah. Foundationally, it's growth, scale, speed to market, advertising, branding, membership acquisition, all the things that need to be in place for any strong franchise. I think what truly separates us from the competition is we're laser focused on IVs and cellular health. We're not going to splinter off and start doing a bunch of other things, adding a bunch of different amenities. We'll be the Starbucks of the industry. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be, the big high-end steakhouse where we can do everything under one roof.
Okay.
We're good at it and we're focused on it. And to cement that, We're very proactive in our R&D team, consistently growing our R&D group of medical directors, oncologists, pharma consultants, and such.
I love that.
So building this business with the foundational marketing, advertising, branding is what we're always, who we are, but then with our eye on the future, focused on what is next. And being able to really document it, that it works and it's helpful.
What I just heard is staying in your lane and your zone of genius. It's like, hey, let's not dilute the brand by trying to be everything to everybody. Let's stay that super laser focused on the thing that we do best, the thing that's in our name, and is alignment with what you guys believe to be true, helping people with their cellular health, which, by the way, I'm a huge fan.
Definitely.
Huge.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything we...
Yeah, it just makes sense. And even when I talk to prospects and they start talking about all of these other things, I say, maybe you should go and call, Restore Hyper Wellness. You should call Liquivita. You should call these other companies, LE Mental Health and whatnot. Like all these other businesses, other franchises that are really good that might better fit the persona of that prospect at that time.
You guys just want to solve one problem: cellular health. Cellular health.
Exactly.
Awesome. If people want to learn more about you or your organization, where's the best place for them to go and connect and get plugged in?
Sure. The DRIPBaR.com. That's our main website with all the locations. Also, there's a Own a DRIPBaR tab there. You can fill out a little short form or an application. But also you could reach me directly at ben@thedripbar.com.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you spending time with us today. My hope is that somebody learns from your success. I mean, that's really what this show's all about. But also, picks up a couple nuggets on how to stay focused. Like the biggest thing I got out of this is, if you've got something that is working and really to stay true to that, there's always going to be opportunities where somebody's gonna be like, hey, let's go, 1 degree removed and let's do that. No, staying super, super focused is what has contributed to success. And we want others to obviously in their own journey, but also learn from people who are kind of ahead than they are. So very, very insightful conversation. We deeply appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you very much, Kevin.
I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and I have 2 asks. Number 1, this conversation with Ben impacted somebody in your life. Most likely, you just haven't shared it with them. So go ahead and think about who that might benefit from the episode, and go ahead and just text it to them or send them. Now, number 2, if you like what we're doing at Franchise My Business, mean the absolute world to us for you to just hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to on right now. And that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Deeply appreciate you joining us. Ben, thank you for joining us. I hope everybody has a phenomenal day. And